Hello, it's Jen from Windrose Fiber Studio. Today I'm going to walk you through how to crochet a flat round. Then, for fun, we'll take our flat round and turn it into a flower coaster. And then at the end of this video, I will show you the Get It Done version, a quick and fast flat round. If you're new here, welcome to the channel and let's crochet. The yarn I'm using today is Comfy Worsted Weight by Knit Picks. This is a size 4. I'm also going to be using a 5mm crochet hook. I've got a yarn needle, a stitch marker, a pair of scissors handy, and here's a look at the flower coaster that we'll be making in just a few minutes. Let's begin by making a magic ring. There's more than one way to do this, but a simple way is to wrap your working yarn back to front around 2 fingers twice. Then you can see I'm inserting my hook under the first thread, grabbing the second thread, and then holding on to everything I yarn over and pull it through that loop. Next, I can pull on the beginning tail and on the working yarn to tighten up that slip knot and to size the ring. Now we can dive right into round 1 of our flat round. First, you're going to chain 1, and then we're going to work 6 single crochets into the ring. I'm going to be marking the first stitch of every round, and it's something that I highly recommend. No matter how experienced you are, it's so easy to lose count when you're working in the round, and we're working in a continuous round, so we're not going to be joining the end of each round and then chaining to get up to the height of the next round. We're going to be working continuously, so marking that first stitch is such a help. For the sake of review, you create a chain by yarn over and pull through the loop on your hook, and to create a single crochet, you're going to insert your hook into the ring, yarn over, pull up a loop, then yarn over and pull through 2. A single crochet is the perfect stitch for this. It's a shorter stitch, so when you get to the end of the first round and you continue on to the second round, there won't be a large space in your work due to height discrepancy. After you work 6 single crochets into your magic ring, you can pull on the beginning tail and close the ring. It's always a good idea to double check your stitch count and make sure you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stitches, and now we're ready for round 2. The repeating pattern for round 2 is to place 2 single crochets in the next stitch 6 times. So each stitch will get 2 single crochets. This is another way of saying work a single crochet increase all the way around. Our first round had 6 stitches, our second round has 12, and you will notice very quickly that a pattern is emerging. We are working in multiples of 6. Whatever round number we're on, times 6 will give us the total number of stitches for that round. So since we're on round 2, 2 times 6 means we're going to have a total of 12 stitches. This also means that every round we make will have a total of 6 increases. 6 times in each round, we're going to work 2 single crochets in the next stitch. The secret to making a flat round is in the way that you space these increases. Here we are finishing up round 2. Round 2, remember, has a total of 12 stitches. For round 3, our repeating pattern is to start by working 2 single crochets in the next stitch. I'm going to pause and put a stitch marker in my first single crochet, and then I'm going back into that same stitch and working another single crochet, and then I'm going to single crochet in the next stitch. Then back to the beginning of that repeating pattern, 2 single crochets. In the next stitch, there's 1, and here's 2, and then single crochet in the next stitch. You're going to be repeating this a total of 6 times. We've already done 2, so we have 4 to go. And round 3, we'll have a total of 18 stitches. 3 times 6 is 18, so we're just going to keep leaning in to that multiple of 6. I'm going to finish up round 3 in real time, and then I just want to take a short time out to chat about what we're going to do going forward. It doesn't take very long to crochet 18 stitches, so before you know it, here we are at the end of round 3, and I'm going to set this aside for just a second. Here I have a flat round that contains 10 rounds, so it's already a larger shape. From this point on, we're going to start offsetting the even-numbered rounds. If that sounds a little confusing at first, please don't worry because I'm going to have it all written out for you. The reason we're doing this is because if we work an increase in the first stitch of every round, all of our increases are going to line up and look something like this. If we connect these endpoints, you can see that what we're headed for is a hexagon rather than a round shape. If we offset our increases, something different happens. I've marked every increase in this flat round with a blue dot. If we connect these dots, you can see a pinwheel shape emerging with double the endpoints. This serves to soften the edges and give us the round shape we're looking for. Let's put this to practice, beginning with round 4. For round 4, we're going to start by working a single crochet in the next stitch. Mark that as the first stitch of our round, and now we're going to start our repeating pattern. So we've just offset our increase by 1 stitch. Our repeating pattern is to work 2 single crochets in the next stitch. That's our increase, and then we're going to work 1 single crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. Then we'll go back to the beginning of that repeat. We're going to work this pattern a total of 5 times. Here we're starting the 3rd time. Here's our increase, single crochet, single crochet. Here's our 4th time. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Here's our 5th time. Increase, single crochet, single crochet, and now we've only got 2 stitches left, so we're going to work 2 single crochets in the next stitch, 1 single crochet in the stitch after that, and the pattern is really completed with that first stitch that we offset. And round 4 still has a total of 24 stitches, 4 times 6. Round 5 is an odd numbered round, so we're going to start with our increase in the very first stitch. So you're going to work 2 single crochets in the next stitch. I'm pausing to mark my first stitch of the round, working that second single crochet in the same stitch. And now I'm going to single crochet in each of the next 3 stitches. Round 5 is going to have 6 sets of 5. That's another way of looking at it. Before I start sounding a little too much like a math teacher, let's time travel to the end of round 5, where we're just finishing up that final repeat. Round 5 will have a total of 30 stitches. Round 6 begins by working a single crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. You're going to see me stop after the first one and mark that first stitch, and then I'm going to work a single crochet in the next stitch, so we're offsetting round 6 by 2 stitches before we start our repeating pattern, which is to work 2 single crochets in the next stitch, and then single crochet in each of the next 4 stitches. You're going to repeat that pattern 5 times. After the 5th repeat, you're going to work 2 single crochets in the next stitch, and then you're going to single crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. Round 6 has a total of 36 stitches. Round 7 begins with the increase, so we're going to start by working 2 single crochets in the next stitch, marking the first one, and then we go back in with that second single crochet in the same stitch. There's our increase, and now we're going to single crochet in each of the next 5 stitches. You'll work this repeat 6 times all the way around the circle, giving you a total of 42 stitches. For the purpose of making this flat round tutorial, I'm actually going to be stopping at the end of round 7, but in the description below, I've written out the full directions for 10 rounds to create a larger flat round. I also think it's really nice to see it all written out. You can really see the number patterns forming, and it should be easy for you to carry on even from round 10 and just keep going and making your round larger and larger, whatever size you need it to be. Here we are at the end of round 7. I'm just placing my stitch marker through the loop that was on my hook, and that way I won't accidentally pull out my work. That's a little trick of the trade. And you can see we've got this nice flat round. Once again, I have the directions written out for you in the description below. But now let's have some fun and take these 7 rounds and turn them into a flower coaster. Here's a flower coaster that I previously made, and you can see that our 7 rounds fit perfectly in the center, and all we need is one more round of stitches to turn this into a flower coaster. I'm just going to remove that stitch marker, put that last loop back on my hook, and here's our flower round. We're going to skip the next 2 stitches and then work 7 double crochets in the next stitch. To make a double crochet, yarn over, insert your hook into the stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops on your hook twice. So we're making 7 of these double crochets in that stitch. Now we're going to skip the next 2 stitches and start our pattern repeat for this round. You're going to single crochet in the next stitch. I'm just pausing for a second to admire our first petal. And then you're going to skip the next 2 stitches and work 7 double crochets in the next stitch. After those 7 double crochets, you'll skip 2 stitches and go back to the beginning of the repeat. You're going to repeat this pattern all the way around. It creates a total of 7 petals, and then we'll take a look at how to finish off. Okay, I'm just finishing up my last petal, and then we skip the next 2 stitches, and then we're just simply going to work a slip stitch into the next stitch. Now you can cut your working yarn, yarn over and pull that through the loop on your hook. There's nothing left to do but weave in these loose ends on the wrong side of your work. I always like to work my way around the center when I'm working my beginning tail in, and I always make at least 3 passes when I'm weaving in my loose ends. 3 passes will ensure a very secure hold and protect your project. The diameter of our completed flower coaster is about 4¼ inches or approximately 11 centimeters. As you can see, this is the perfect size for your favorite coffee mug. This feels like a good ending point, but actually, I have a few more things that I'd love to share. First of all, I wanted to share 7 rounds in which I made the increase at the beginning of each round. You can see that it's the perfect way to make a hexagon, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. This is great to know if you ever need a hexagon shape. Next, I'd like to look at some options for finishing off your flat round if, say, you're not making a flower coaster. Option 1, you could simply slip stitch to the next stitch and call it done. There would be a little bump there because you are working from a height of a single crochet. Option 2, if you slip stitch into each of the next 2 stitches, that kind of helps to reduce that bump. It just helps to gradually bring down that stitch and make it more even with the previous round. So this looks a little smoother than option 1. A third option would be to finish with an invisible finish off. I'm going to link a full tutorial for this in the description below. I'll also go ahead and do one here for you so you can watch and pick it up that way. But essentially, you're pulling out your working yarn through that last stitch, threading it onto your needle, skipping the next stitch, and then working under both of the loops of the second stitch, and then back through the last stitch of the round between the front and back loops and pulling that together. It forms exactly the look of a stitch and just creates a very seamless finish. The invisible finish off is nice because it's not free and it maintains the same number of stitches so that if you're working into this flat round, your stitch count is still right on. Speaking of which, I wanted to take these 7 rounds and make another flower coaster, this time using a different color for the petals. The only difference is you're going to join with a single crochet in any stitch and then follow the directions for the flower round just like we did before, and then you're going to end with a slip stitch into the first single crochet. Then you'll finish off, weave in your loose ends, and now you have a flower coaster with 2 colors. The last thing I would like to share today is for May and anybody out there who sometimes just wants to get it done. We're going to make a flat round with a taller stitch that will expand in diameter so much faster. We are going to begin again with a magic ring as we prepare to make a flat round using double crochet. So I've got my magic ring, and into this magic ring I'm going to work a single crochet and a chain 1. This is going to count as my first double crochet, and then we're going to work 11 double crochets into the magic ring and close the ring. Now, because a double crochet is twice the height of a single crochet, instead of working in multiples of 6, we're doubling up. We're going to be working in multiples of 12. Because double crochets are taller, we're not going to be able to work in a continuous round, so we're going to need to connect the last stitch to the first stitch every time we come to the end of a round. This naturally creates a little bit of a seam in your work, and to remove that seam, I'm going to share my favorite tip for having that seam look almost non-existent. I learned this technique from the channel Little John's Yarn, and I will leave a link to her tutorial in the description below. I just finished my 12th double crochet, and I'm just pulling my magic ring closed. And now let's look at how to make the seamless join. I am going to pull on my loop to make it a little bit bigger and then drop my working yarn towards the back. I'm going to skip over the first double crochet and insert my hook from back to front through the second double crochet. I replace the loop on my hook and pull it through that stitch, which always feels just a little awkward, but you can do it, it'll go through. And now we're going to use the base of that loop as the final stitch of the next round. If you pull on the loop, it gets a little smaller, but you want to make sure there's enough space there so you can fit your hook through, and it's about the same size as a stitch. The first double crochet is right behind there, and it kind of works out well that the double crochet is a little bit shorter. Let's go ahead and mark the base of that loop, those 2 threads that we're going to be using as our last stitch in round 2, and then we can put our hook back through the loop, grab our working yarn, and head in to round 2. Round 2, we're going to single crochet in the same stitch, so going front to back through that very same stitch, and work a single crochet and then chain 1. This will count as the first double crochet of the round, now and throughout. Following our instructions, we're going to double crochet in the same stitch. And then we're going to start our repeating pattern for round 2. You're going to work 2 double crochets in the next stitch all the way around. I have time traveled to the end of round 2, and I've got 1 stitch left to work into, and it's that one that we marked, the base of the loop. It's kind of our false stitch, if you will, that we're using to help us form a seamless join. So we're working 2 double crochets in this stitch, and now you should have 24 stitches in round 2. I'm going to work the seamless join a couple more times for you just so you can see it in action. Remember, we're skipping over the first double crochet, back to front through the next stitch, pulling that loop through, and then we're using the base of the loop as the last stitch for the next round. Here's that stitch right here. I'm going to go ahead and mark it with a stitch marker, which I highly recommend, at least until you get used to using this seamless join. I'm going to walk you through one more round just for safe measure. So here we are on round 3. You're going to single crochet in that same stitch and chain 1. And this will count as your first double crochet of the round. Mark that stitch if it makes you a little more comfortable. And then we're going to double crochet in the same stitch and then double crochet in the next stitch. Next, we'll start our repeating pattern for round 3. We're going to be working 2 double crochets in the next stitch and then 1 double crochet in the stitch after that all the way around. Remember, we're using multiples of 12 this time, so 3 times 12 means that we're going to have a total of 36 stitches in this round. Here I am working the last stitch of the round. I'm going to show you one more seamless join, and then I'm going to leave you to carry on because I think by now you probably have this down. It's all about tension with the seamless join. You can see if I pull on the loop, my stitch will disappear So you don't want to pull the loop tight, you want to open that up so it creates that stitch for you to work into. Here's a look at our 3 rounds, and you can see with just 3 rounds we're almost up to 3.5 inches. Let's compare that to the 7 rounds on our flower coaster. 7 rounds brings us only to 3 inches, so you can see how much faster you can make a large flat round using a taller stitch like the double crochet. Here are the notes you need to continue working your flat round using double crochets. Each round is going to begin with that single crochet into the same stitch and chain 1, and that will count as your first double crochet of the round. You're going to be working in multiples of 12 instead of 6, so you will need to keep that in mind in terms of stitch count, and you'll be ending each round with a seamless join. I guess I ended up packing quite a lot of information into this video, but I hope there's something in here that you found helpful. If nothing else, I hope you enjoy making yourself a set of sweet little flower coasters for your home. At the time of filming this, it's March, and I've already made a few for my living room, and they kind of feel like the first sign of spring. That's all for today. Please hit like and subscribe. I share patterns and tutorials on Tuesdays, and I always look forward to connecting with you. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.